Hello everyone. Today I'm planning to showcase how to get SharePoint list data in a Windows application. So basically, as of SharePoint 2010, SharePoint has given out Client SDK through which you can query SharePoint data. So today I'll be using those DLLs to get data from a SharePoint list and display them in a Windows application. So let's get started. So this is the SharePoint server, the trial version that I'm running inside a virtual machine, and you can see it has some basic lists that I have created like test1 and test2, and also I'm having Visual Studio Community Edition, so which is a free for everyone, and basically this does the job because all we are doing is writing a Windows application and not developing any SharePoint applications. So let's get started. I'm creating a new project and it will be of type C# Windows and Windows Form application. So let's name it. So I'm calling it Windows Forms underscore SP 2013. Returns framework 4.5.2. Clicking OK. Okay. So this is the basic form that Visual Studio throws at us. Now let me add up some control. So before proceeding, things to note is we need just connect with SharePoint website. If you are working in the same domain, then no additional configuration. If not, follow this video. I will do it only for Windows authentication mechanism, not form based. Okay, now while I'll be adding some basic controls, like I'll be needing a button control, I'll be needing a text box control, actually 4 text box controls. So this will be my site URL. So, oops. Okay, there you go. And this will be my username. So let me add this. And this can be my password and default password. And this can be my list title. And this is the final button that I'll be clicking. So let's say btn get this data. Let me change the text. Okay, there you go. Let me reduce this. Okay. username, password, and the list title. Now, additional thing I'll be needing is a data grid view. So I'm just dragging and dropping it here. Okay, and I need a handler for this get data button. So I'll be double clicking it to get a handler. Okay guys, so since we'll be accessing SharePoint related stuff, we need to add some SharePoint DLLs here, and in this case these are client SDK DLLs. So basically there are two ways to get those DLLs. One is using going to your SharePoint server, and inside your 15 Hive, so web server extension, inside your 15 Hive you find this SAPI folder. There you check for Microsoft.SharePoint.client and as well as SharePoint.client.runtime. So these two DLLs is what you will be needing. So copy these two DLLs to your system where you're developing the application. So I'm just copying this, and then I'm going ahead and putting it in, let's say, my PC. I'll be putting it in C drive. Let me put it here. Or if at all you do not have access to the SharePoint server directly, then you can always download them from Microsoft itself. So just search for SharePoint 2013 client components. Okay, so just click the link, and you'll be getting a download button. Just click on it, and then as per your requirement just download and extract it, and you'll be getting the DLLs that are required. Now once you have the DLLs, just go there, add reference, browse, and remember that I kept it in C drive, DLLs. So just add these two DLLs here, say OK, and once you add them you have to add a reference to Microsoft.SharePoint.client. Okay, so now that you have added this, you'll be getting a error here, since it's an ambiguous. Both the Windows Forms namespace and SharePoint.client namespace has a class called form. So I have to explicitly write here saying system.windows.forms.form. Okay, now this error will be gone. Now jumping ahead into the handler. So basically in SharePoint you guys have to remember that it's always better to write the using clause so that you don't have to worry about the disposal of objects. Okay, so using, so client context equal to new client context of txt site url dot text dot string. So basically this is CSOM program, CSOM way of querying SharePoint, and here you'll be having client context and not SP context, which you find it in server object model. So once you have the client context, you need to specify the authentication mode. Authentication mode equal to client authentication mode, it's default, and context dot credentials. And you guys have to remember that since I am running it in a VM which is not in the same domain as my current development computer, I need to specify the credentials. So in this VM I'm running a SharePoint server and my web application has been configured to work with Windows authentication, and I have to note down the IP address of the VM, and so that I can add it in the host file so that I can access it through the name. Okay. So I have to specify the credentials for it. New network. Okay. So for this credentials, I need to add another namespace. System.net. So new network credentials of. So you'll be using this fourth option. So username, password, domain. Okay, so domain will be this for me. I didn't specify a text field for domain, so let me hard code it here. And this will be my username, which is like txt username dot text dot trim. And this will be my password dot text dot trim. And guys, for password you can always set the properties here, saying in its So once you are done with this, then you have to declare web object equal to context.web, then list object web object dot list dot get list by title, and here I can use txt list title dot text dot trim. Then basically I have to specify the camel query here. Camel query CQ object. Camel query dot you have create all items query. This is a default provided method, and I can specify the row limit. Let me keep it as 100. Once I do that, I need to specify the collection which will hold the data from a SharePoint list. So list item collection obj list object dot get items of my camel query object. Okay, so this is done, and the beautiful thing about CSOM is that it will load only the required elements from the SharePoint request, not like server object model where each and every property will be loaded. Since it's a client context, very minimal data is fetched in the round trip. So that's why CSOM is always faster. Though it's a subset of server object model, it is always faster. So I'll be loading this collection object alone. and once I load, I have to say that execute query. So as you see here, only this object will be loaded and given back to the client. Okay, now once the gets the above code gets executed, I'll be needing to do this one. Yeah, if collection object dot count is not equal to 0, and else block. Here you can write messages to client saying no data is present. But for now we'll just handle the data existent scenario. So since you guys remember that I have declared a data grid, I'll be needing a data table in this example to assign it as a data source. So for that I'll be creating a dummy data table schema here. Okay, so let's begin data table dt and I'll be needing a data row, and let's fetch two uh, column data here. One will be the ID and another will be the title. So I'll be needing two data columns. I need to specify the type. Let me repeat it here. These two columns get added to the data table. Now I'll be doing for each loop. So for each list item collection object, so I need to create a new data row. So I'll be using the above data row. So 0 equal to dp dot new and the d row of id equal to item dot id and the d row of title, which is this, equal to item dot, and since I can write it like this instead. Since SharePoint doesn't expose the column as a property, I need to specify it like this. And once I have the data inside the data row, I need to add the row to the data table. So dt dot rows dot add of d row. And once I fill up all the rows, all I have to say is let me name my grid view as dgvsp list. So going back here, dgvsp list dot data source equal to data table. Now let me run this once and check whether it's working. Start. Okay, so let me go here, get the site collection URL. So this will be the site collection URL. Username will be administrator, password, and list title. Let me get data from test1. So it has these things, test1, and let me put a breakpoint. Get data. So here you can see the site URL is this, client authentication mode, administrator, password, and here the domain is not correct. So let me stop it. Let me put the domain properly. Yep, now this should do. Get data. Okay. Now I am executing the query. Query has executed and it says count 16 items. So 2 columns have been added, and for each item collection and just looping through and then creating a data row and adding it to the data table, finally assigning it to the grid view. That is done. So you can see here ID and title from that list. Now let me remove all the breakpoints, and yep, let's test for another list. So go back here, let me test for some default list. Let me check this pages library. Remember that in SharePoint everything is a SharePoint list. Even if it's a library, it inherits from a SharePoint list. So let me get it from pages now. Get data. Yes, so you have 3 items here: page not found, default, and text. So that's all, guys. So I'll be adding up the links and if possible I'll be adding the source code, uploading the source code to some uh, online cloud storage, and I'll be sharing it in the description. But do subscribe and comment for any queries and suggestions. Yep, let's keep this channel active. Thank you, guys.